Are we just going to misspend all kinds of money trying to go after the wrong group of people?
The commitment here is to better unpack the tax gap for you and for the American people.
If Republicans succeeded in repealing IRS funding, we'd have more billionaire tax cheats.
Part of rescuing America, apparently, by my Democratic colleagues, was getting information about my Venmo transactions with my daughter to the IRS.
As the new filing season begins, the IRS simply needs to do better.
I look at the Inflation Reduction Act certainly as an opportunity to strengthen the overall resources that we have, increase customer service.
You know that there is plenty of cleaning up to do.
You know, you almost didn't need the drums for this, right? I mean, it was that back and forth, that in your face. And for the guy the administration wants to head the IRS, Danny Werfel, it was not an easy afternoon. John Barrasso, among the inquisitors and relentless at that, the Wyoming Republican, joins us right now. He is the Senate GOP conference chairman. Senator, did you get the answers you wanted about how far the IRS goes and who it's prioritizing when it comes to audits and paying the tax man?
Not at all, Neil. The Internal Revenue Service is the most powerful and least accountable agency in our government, and the Democrats have just given them another $80 billion as part of their reckless tax and spending bill. And so much of that money is going to be used to hire an army of agents. They're talking about 87,000 new IRS agents, auditors. Very little of the money is going to go for things like the phone helpline. So you know who they're coming after. They're coming after you. They're coming after small business owners. They're coming after middle-class families. And then today, Joe Biden said, oh, they're not going to come after anyone making under $400,000 a year. Do not be deceived. The new reports are they're actually going after tips for waiters and waitresses who have an average income of only $29,000 a year.
I did see that. Senator, one of the things that comes up with this 87,000 IRS, soldiers out there going after people, a lot of this is through attrition and people who retire and all. It's actually a much smaller number, but be that as it may, are you concerned that the priorities for these agents, however many ultimately are added, will be to go after only lower income individuals, only waiters, that they won't go after the well-to-do who might try to dodge the tax man?
Well, if you have that many people going after Americans, they're going after everyone. My concern is to protect families, small businesses. And, the first bill that passed the House of Representatives, straight party line vote, but it was a Republican House. It said we're not going to give the IRS this additional $70 billion that they want for this army of agents and auditors. And the thing that really tells the story on this, Neil, is that the budget people said, well, if you don't give them all this billions and billions of dollars, then they're not going to be able to collect back those billions and an additional $114 billion on top of that. This is a shakedown, Neil, of all taxpayers, and that's what I'm trying to protect the American taxpayers from.
Well, there is something to the fact that tax receipts have actually, soared here with the slight improvement in the economy and the job gains and all the rest. So much of this is being questioned as to whether we need as much as what they're proposing for the IRS. But the fact of the matter is there are a good number of people who do cheat. They might not all be the waiters and these lower income people that you cite. But do you think there are those who, through clever attorneys and tax accountants and the like, have found a way to almost audit-proof themselves? And that we've got to do something about that.
Well, I'm not going to make any excuses for them at all, Neil. I just tell you, as Ben Franklin said, the two things you can't escape, death and taxes, and people of every income level are afraid of the IRS. They've been targeting conservative groups. Your tax records haven't been kept secure and protected the way they should have been. We have basically a woke and a weaponized IRS, and the money that they put into this is really tax and spending to pay for the Green New Deal. Tax revenues are at an all-time high. Our problem isn't that we tax too little, it's that we spend too much, and we need to get the spending under control, Neil.
Do you think if we had a flat tax or a simplified tax that would solve all of this and negate all of these controversies?
Well, a simplified system is better. We certainly tried to do this with the Tax and Jobs Act. We think we did a good job there, but the more and more complicated it gets, and then you can't get through the IRS helpline. You can wait hours and hours. We try to help through our Senate offices all across the country. We got lots of calls in Wyoming for people that just sat on hold with the IRS, and so much of the money that's going to the IRS as a result of this tax bill and spending bill that the Democrats passed on a party line vote, very little goes, and I ask questions about this, very little goes to actually make it easier for taxpayers to get accurate information that they can use to make sure they pay the correct amount.
All right. Well, to your point, we're not done with this. So, John Barrasso, very good seeing you again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Neil.